Good afternoon to you. I'm Zanilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for October 18th, 2025. And on today's discussion, we're going to be talking about Invest 98L, which is formed just east of the Caribbean. And it is the area that we are going to need to watch very closely over the next coming week to 10 days as development looks like it might be in the Caribbean. And as I've said over the past several days, when you're watching an area in the Caribbean in the month of October, especially this year where we have an active La Nina, things can get pretty interesting. And it already looks like we are taking a step further in things getting more interesting today as Invest 98L has been designated. So let's take a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center right now with the Invest area here. A tropical wave located several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands continues to produce a broad area of showers and thunderstorms. Earlier satellite wind data indicated that the system lacks a closed circulation but is producing winds of 30 to 35 miles per hour north to the north of the wave axis. So looks like there is already spin associated with the storm. This already has some decent winds, but not yet a super organized system. But obviously that's going to change. Environmental conditions appear marginally conductive, or I think that probably says conducive, but there's a little bit of a typo. It's okay, typos happen from time to time, but pretty sure that was meant to say conducive for slow development over the next couple of days as the system moves quickly westward at 20 to 25 miles per hour, crossing the Windward Islands and entering the Caribbean Sea by early next week. And then as it enters the middle of the week and begins to enter the Central Caribbean, it will slow down where environmental conditions could be more favorable for further development. Regardless of development, this system is expected to bring heavy rainfall and gusty winds to the Windward Islands Sunday and Sunday night. Chances in 48 hours of development at 10%, so very low. And chances in the next 7 days are still low at 30%, but I'm pretty sure this will gradually go up. This looks like this is going to be one of those systems that we're going to have to watch over a week-long period, and this will take some time to get going. But once this get going, this will be a pretty interesting system to track. And also should mention that there will be impacts to the Caribbean islands, the eastern Caribbean islands here, and that is to be expected, even though this won't be a tropical system. This is producing convective activity and quite a bit of it. And once again, the National Hurricane Center that said that there are 30 to 35 miles per hour winds still associated with this wave, now Invest 98L. So we probably will still see some decent impacts to the Windward Islands here as we head into early next week, especially here, Barbados. I think that's Barbados. And obviously heavy rainfall, gusty winds, regardless of whether or not it's a tropical system, will be a nuisance and have an impact on your daily plans. So please keep in mind of weather conditions that will occur here in the Caribbean over the next several days. But with the satellite imagery of it right now, you can definitely see it. It does look like a pretty potent wave. There's definitely some broad circulation associated with it. As the National Hurricane Center said, no closed circulation right now, but that's definitely going to change, especially as this continues on into the Caribbean, and eventually, more than likely, I am pretty sure we will see development. You can see it on the 850 millibar vorticity map already. Quite a decent bundle of energy here. And already kind of has a more round look to it, not necessarily a perfectly uniformed round shape as we would typically see in a tropical system, but there is definitely organizing energy here. One of the best ways to look at energy, as I've said before, is by looking at the vorticity map, especially at 850 millibars, because that is the lower levels of the atmosphere. Well, not super low, it's 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere, but it is still among the lower levels of the atmosphere. And so this is the best indication to see whether or not there is a surface circulation building. And at least if you're looking at the 850 millibar vorticity map right now, there definitely seems to be one right now, just of course not yet organized to be classified as a tropical system. But obviously, this will move into the Caribbean over the next several days, and I'm showing you specifically the GEFS track ensemble members because usually Tropical Tidbits has a map of model guidance showing the tracks and the spaghetti plots of all different kinds of models, but because 98L was designated today, there aren't yet a lot of models that have run with the system yet, so only bringing up the GFS tracks, but it generally gives you an idea of what we should be looking out for. This is going to track into the Eastern Caribbean, and then eventually, as this gets into the Western Caribbean and Central Caribbean, well, more like Central Caribbean, some ensembles don't take this into the Western Caribbean, although you do see here that there are a few that do, and they become pretty strong. And even this one here that ends up taking this into the Central Caribbean and then North, and then impacting Hispaniola, this also gets pretty strong too. So there's a lot of potential for this wave as this enters the Caribbean. As I went over a few days ago, there's a lot of untapped potential with sea surface temperatures and especially ocean heat potential because we've had pretty much no development at all in the Caribbean this entire hurricane season. Everything was in the southwestern Atlantic, so the ocean in the Caribbean is pretty much untapped and very ripe for development. And you could already kind of see the signs that this might be a pretty decent system in the very least, because this is the ATZ initialized intensity guidance for 98L. And you're saying, well, why do you think it's going to be have such high potential? All the models kind of look, not very bearish on this, not very bullish on this storm. They are bearish. I will give you that. But this is again one of the early intensity guidance plots. Not a lot of information is loading yet on 98L. But already we start to see a lot of these models here, especially in the 5 to 7 day time frame, as this will probably begin to slow down in the Caribbean and develop a lot more. We already have intensity guidance here. I believe this is the SHIPS model, which is a good indication to see whether or not conditions are ripe for rapid intensification. And, I like to bring up the SHIPS from time to time. They already have this at hurricane intensity around 5 to 7 days out in the Caribbean. And even some of these other models here, not sure specifically what these two are, but I'm pretty sure they do have some sort of significance already showing a stronger storm. And excuse my dog. Sorry, my dog, barks from time to time. They already are showing an indication of a pretty strong system here. Already getting towards strong tropical storm and even lower end hurricane intensity. So I think this is a sign that there definitely is a lot of potential, especially as this heads into the Caribbean. I will tell you though that by tomorrow we'll definitely have a much more better idea with the models in terms of intensity guidance. As again, there will probably be more information available tomorrow, and we'll also see a lot more models here show up on this graph, as well as on the track guidance map as well. But we'll go over that tomorrow when it comes out. But here's a look at the European ensembles over the next 7 to 10 days. This gives you an idea of what the European is showing, at least in terms of the potential for the Caribbean here. And it's definitely something that we're going to have to watch quite a bit. There's a lot of uncertainty as to how this plays out, but you definitely see there are quite a few ensembles, especially as they get into the Western Caribbean here, and even some in the Central Caribbean near Hispaniola bring this as a pretty intense system. I see some 950s, some 970s. So once again, the potential is there. We're going to have to watch this very closely, but notice especially when this begins to develop and really come together, does not happen until at least 5 to 7 days out. So once again, this is going to be a very big wait and see game in the Caribbean here over the next several days. And to close out, I'll show you both the European and the GFS operational models. And as you see here over the next several days, wave progresses through the Caribbean islands. Probably the worst impacts to them will happen on Monday. And then eventually this, enters the Caribbean. Takes a little bit of time to consolidate, but you start seeing here hour 120, hour 144. So day 5, day 6. And then we're at day 7 here. and you start seeing that we have a circulation that comes together. Already a surface low probably develops here, and that is 7 days out. So, don't want to really look too seriously past this, but I will show you really briefly. And we get towards 10, 11, 12 days out, and then we really start seeing development here. And this is already by the end of October, but again, things are going to be pretty favorable here in the Caribbean till the end of the month. The GFS, on the other hand, has development much quicker, with the wave here moving through the Caribbean Monday, and then already as we get towards next week, they show development here occurring in the eastern Atlantic with a pretty powerful storm slamming into Hispaniola, and then kind of gets entangled here over Hispaniola and Cuba, and then eventually becomes a pretty strong storm that moves out to sea here in the southwestern Atlantic. So a little bit of a different track than the Euro, but still the signal is there. And obviously things can change quite a bit, but there's still a little bit of uncertainty, and that just goes to show this will be a waiting game with 98L, and we're going to have to watch it very closely. But I am pretty sure that one way or another, something will come out of it. And I mean, this has already been tagged in Invest, so I think the National Hurricane Center is also pretty adamant that this is something that we need to watch too, especially because this is an Invest, and the chances right now for development, at least by the National Hurricane Center, are still low. Usually, they don't, give any chance to this at all to their, or designate an area and Invest at all, until chances are at least moderate to high. But I guess they are adamant about this too, so we're going to have to watch here very, very closely over the upcoming week, and probably beyond here with 98L as it moves into the Caribbean. With that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell if you also enjoyed this video and want more from me. I'm going to continue doing these videos every single day, or at least almost every single day. Kind of slacked off over the last several days, taking 1 or 2 days off, but I promise you, now that we have 98L, going to try to going back to doing a daily schedule from here on out. So please make sure to stay tuned for that. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and if I don't see you again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. But as always, I'll be back with more tomorrow. See you then.